We are live, sir.
Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome yet again to a session of Startup Buzz. Every Thursday at 5 p.m. I think all of you are familiar with it, and we've crossed 57 sessions so far, and today we have Vikram chatting with Arijit, and I think this promises to be yet another exciting session. Without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Vikram and Arijit, and I'm sure you'll have a cracker of a session. Over to you both.
Thank you so much, Ravi. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Startup Buzz from CII Western Region. Before we begin, a word about why this series exists. CII has been putting founders in front of people actually building the next thing, not the people writing about it. And Startup Buzz is all about just that. Thank you, CI team, for having me and Arijit here. Let me introduce myself. My name is Vikram Kharvi. I'm the CEO of Bloomingdale PR, one of India's fastest growing public relations consultancy. I love this plug that I was given to put it here. And now, I want to start with something that I've been thinking over and over again since the time I've spoken to Rajit or read about Farmer. Um, think about this. What a publisher actually does. They book a studio, call in a crew, get a guest to give up 2 hours of their life, shoot a 40-minute interview. It goes up once and then it sits there, dies quietly on a server. Meanwhile, the same team is up at midnight trying to make one more reel. So, roughly three quarters of premium video in this country never makes it to digital in any useful form, which is paid for, produced, and sorry to say this, buried. So my guest tonight decided to go after exactly this problem. Meet Arijit Chatterjee, who was the chief strategy officer at NDTV. He and his two co-founders, Suparna Singh and Kavaljit Singh Bedi, one day decided they need to build something more meaningful. So in 2023, they walked out and started Farmer AI. Today, their clients include uh, big networks like India TV, India Today, CNBC TV 18, and networks in Italy, Portugal, and the Philippines. Arijit, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks, Vikram, for such a kind introduction and also for really explaining much better than I would on what Framer does and the value that Framer adds. So thank you for that. Ravi and CII, thanks so much for having me as well.
Great, let's begin then. The first question that comes to my mind that you spent years building long form television, and then you suddenly leave and bet against it. Tell me why Framer is not just taking the same problem, chopping it into smaller pieces.
So interestingly, when you say we built it on long form, yes, that was the TV model. And at NDTV, it was, such a great privilege to be part of a newsroom or a programming ecosystem that built itself on some great IPs. But I think NDTV was the first one to realize, and that's where it gets interesting. We were the first ones to really realize the fact that, you couldn't be a TV company anymore, but you needed to be a content company. And this
Right.
flowed right from the promoters who were visionaries, right? And that is why the importance on digital platforms, which in turn led to short form content, different formats of storytelling, because that's where the audience had moved and was moving rather, and we realized that that was going to be the future. So
Hmm.
really, we are not betting against what NDTV bet on or was built on, but we're actually really building on what we did very successfully at NDTV as a team, which was to ensure that premium content was available to the user on a platform of their choice in a format of their choice and not driven by prime time or the compulsions of a TV model, which is
Hmm.
the 30-minute show driven by TRPs. My time is prime time, right? I should be able to watch what I want when I want to. That's the world we live in. With
Correct.
attention spans being close to 27 to 30 seconds, um, really, sure, we still want to value the long form content, but we really are now at a point where premium brands with premium content need to be where the audience is, which is short form vertical video. And I think
Mm.
that's where Framer was. So we're not really betting against what NETV was built on, but really taking that forward.
Interesting. So when three of you sat down in 2023, what did you know about media that everybody else missed? Of course, you touched upon that in some way or the other, but can you further elaborate that?
So very interesting because I think one and there's a lot of founders on the call today. So the first thing I would say is when I left in 2023, the first thing that was really in my favor while thinking of what next, etc., was the fact that I had two co-founders who were more like family and people you could trust. And I think that
Mm.
is a single most important thing for a startup. Then comes what am I building and what am I going to add about media, right?
Mm.
So I think the very fact that the three of us have worked together for so long and bring in, complementary yet different skill sets helped. And I think one thing we realized at NDTV, which I'm sure everybody knows. I'm sure everyone's doing their part in that. But I think what we did well was to do more with less.
Mm.
And that was driven by the fact that you've got to build multi-platform publishing. You've got to be able to create an asset and take it across multiple platforms. Sorry, give me 1 second. And be able to take it across multiple platforms right away without having to build very large teams, very expensive teams. And I think that is something where what we learned at NDTV, we were also very clear that nothing works like building your own platform and also using other platforms to drive your own brand. That was
Mm.
so critical. So if it's short form, you've got to have your masthead on every platform, but telling the story your way. So these were things that we learned, and also I think one more thing was start early in new formats because the money will come. Don't wait
Mm.
for the money to come because then you're already late to the game. So I
Yeah,
think that was one of the other things we always practiced at NDTV.
great. So what did you get wrong in the first year? And just tell me the real one, not what you prepared for this interview.
So I say that again
I say, what did you get wrong in the first year? The real
of the
mistake.
startup.
Yes.
Oh, what I got wrong was like I totally underestimated the amount of work. So I got that one wrong for sure. But no, it was interesting because when you've done something in a space for so long, actually going back to your second question, you think you know it all, but you don't, right?
Mm.
Plus, you come from a certain way of doing things, and you assume everyone's doing that. And oh, why
Mm.
is someone not getting that? It's so obvious, right?
Mm.
Uh, so that was good learning. The other thing that I think was a good learning would be the three of us or the co-founders, we all came from a very B2C kind of model where we created content, we created IPs, we went to an advertiser or whatever model it was. The deals got done quickly and it was on and so forth. With B2B, it's a whole different cycle. And I think that was our biggest learning
Mm.
of, really evangelizing the product in the ecosystem, then getting people to try it, then adopt it, and then obviously kind of drive it. So that whole patient cycle, which is obviously getting shorter by the day, but I think that was a very big learning in the first year on how it works. And the other thing was obviously, the technology part of it. A lot of unlearning of what we knew over the
Mm.
years because AI allowed you to do that. And that was exactly the principle on which Framo was built for
Mm.
years. Media somehow by choice or not kind of saved itself from any kind of disruption. So it was the
Mm.
same legacy systems, the same workflows that's been going on for years. And I think at some point while you had done that for so many years, the unlearning that AI allowed you to now create new workflows, do so much more for less, use if technology effectively in creating content much quicker, more efficiently. Um, I think that was a lot of unlearning and learning that we had that happened in the first year.
Interesting. Just a small comment here to all of you watching us and hearing us. And if you have any questions, please drop into the chat. We'll keep taking these questions in between our conversations. Let me take the first question that's there already on the chat. How do you think AI will fundamentally change content creation over the next 5 years?
It- Content creation will change. I think formatting, repurposing, packaging will be commodity, will be table stakes. And
Hmm,
I think
hmm,
that is where AI will force everyone to be a lot more cognizant of the kind of content that they're creating, spend more resources in finding the better stories, finding the journalists, giving journalists the resources to, dig deeper into the stories, do stories that matter, all that. The storytelling, the content will get a lot more interesting and important because as far as getting that and then packaging it and reformatting it or curating it a certain way, I think will be table stakes. I mean, AI will just assembly of content will become completely tech driven in the next 4 to 5 years.
You mean everyone in the room is often told to make more content, post more, show up everywhere, but you're telling publishers to make less and get more out of what you already have. So where is the line? Where does smart repurposing turn into flooding the feed?
You answered it, right, Vikram, when you were introducing us, actually. I think I'm going to borrow that because really the idea is not to create. So, on a 30-minute show, we'll give you 6, 7 key moments in vertical, etc. That's what Framer does, right? And
Mm,
had to plug that in, of course. But I think, mm, and that's why we never say auto publish. We all come from a responsible news journalism background, and all of us have always, in every meeting, we've said, you must have a human in the loop to make that editorial judgment call, right?
mm,
Don't
mm,
publish all six. What stops you from scheduling the six of them at a later date? Bring back that from an archive at a later point. You've got the asset later to bring back interest in that content and bring context back when that topic comes back again. So I
mm,
think repurposing is not just about an in and out cut on a 30-minute video, but
mm,
how do you really create 5 or 6 really important points which
mm.
allow you to go across multiple platforms and therefore increasing the chances at least of monetizing that content more. I think that's where the key comes in, and that differentiates between slop and really making editorial judgment calls. I think that's the other thing that Framer does, right? It's not an engine which just cuts the content. It's the years of, so if you see any of our training on the metadata, on the content, etc., that's years of editorial expertise that's gone into it, right? Into really finding the best content and then creating the metadata around it so that it gets discovered and therefore helps you monetize it. So I think it's a whole layer of it and not just a chopping block as it may be.
Yeah, that's what that was the first impression that comes by. So let's get into what the machine actually does. So your platform takes half an hour of video, gives back 35 clips in 5 minutes. Somewhere in there, does volume start eating the attention we are all chasing?
So first of all, we wouldn't do 35 clips in 5 minutes. We would do about what we'd do is in a 30-minute interview, we would
Mm,
create about 5 or 6 packages of key
mm,
moments
mm,
of 1 to 2 minutes each, or
mm.
depending on what it is,
Mm.
for 6 or 7 different platforms. That's the strength. So at one click of a
Okay.
button, you've actually gone
Mm,
ahead and created those 6 packages for six
mm,
different platforms. And
mm,
each of these content packages has
mm,
grammar that's native to the platform. So the
mm,
YouTube metadata would have the tags or the keywords, etc. Your Twitter, sorry, X would have the hashtags, etc. So somebody needs to now just go ahead and review 6 platforms, 6 packages, that's 36 packages, ready to be
mm,
published across different platforms and getting it there. So I think
mm,
that is such so powerful. And the other thing, Vikram, is the editorial person is always in control. So the
mm,
machine does 95% of the work, all the heavy lifting is done. We have
mm,
really robust and very easy to use tools within
mm,
the platform to make the changes needed. whether it is the vertical framing, whether it is changing the length of the content that is created, all that's available, and you don't need to know like a Adobe Premiere or a Photoshop or editing to do any of that. So that was the other, thought process when we set up Framer. Generally, SaaS products solve either a friction in the workflow or a skill friction, right? Frama actually, interestingly, does both because it not only solves the workflow issue where you're doing much more for less,
Mm,
and AI allows you to do that, but I think you no longer need to know another skill set like a Photoshop or an Adobe Premiere video editing or FCP to be able to do that. A regular desk person can now edit or create short form video by actually just selecting text from the
mm,
transcript of the video and creating their short form content. It's as simple as doing that on a Word document. And you would render it, and the machine would give you all the metadata. The machine Framer would go ahead and convert it to vertical format. It would also give you all the branding elements that you would need automatically burnt on the video. So it's all done for you. You review it and you publish it. So really, really useful in cutting down time and productivity.
very great. So here's something that worries me. I'm the communications guy, and something that will keep me up all night is on this kind of a scenario where a machine picks up 90 seconds, but it picks up wrong. Now, a bank's ad is sitting next to a footage of a riot. When that happens, who is holding the bag? You or the publisher?
Definitely the publisher, never Framer. No, I'm just kidding. See, I think
Okay.
no, and on a serious note, right? Because
Yeah.
and and exactly what you're saying is a very real scenario, correct?
Mm,
My counter question to that would be A, we are not an auto publishing platform. So
mm,
nobody is publishing content on their own. Framer's not doing it.
mm,
Somebody has consciously decided to publish that content after reviewing it, and
mm,
that's why that content's gone live on whichever platform. So that's
mm,
one. Secondly, coming to the question of brand safety. How does brand safety work today? The advertiser actually is completely dependent on tags put by the publisher on their content
mm,
and telling them whether it's brand safe or not,
mm,
right? Framer, and that's part of our roadmap. Very soon, we're going to talk about it, which is because we're reading every frame and every context of the video, we are actually able to tell you at a frame level when there is a riot coming up or when there is
mm,
something that should not have an ad associated with it. So, if anything, Framer is actually elevating the chances for an advertiser to be always seen and be associated with brand safe content. And ideally, that's going to be a business model where advertisers and marketing managers will definitely start paying a premium to be able to place their ads next to brand safe content in real time. And
mm.
that's what something like someone like Framer would allow you to do. So in its effect, we are actually helping advertisers get to brand safe content more easily than the other way around.
Understood. Now take this scenario and what you have done earlier. So you took a soap opera, 175 episodes, and turned it into a 90-second micro dramas. So tell me, is the next big Indian hit going to be born vertical, or is this just a clever archiving arbitrage?
Good question. I think it's already born. Yeah. I mean, the fact that, um, I mean, all of us are reading stuff on, AI created stuff, micro dramas going on. I mean, think about it. According to the Lumicai State of Interactive Business report, and you've got about $300 million of micro dramas now,
Mm,
projected to be at 1.5 billion by the end of this year, and about 4.5 billion by the end of 2030. The entire Indian theatrical box office is about $1.5 billion.
mm,
So I think that shift has happened, right? Secondly, I think what's happened is everything is driven by audiences. We are a firm believer in that. Like, if 30-minute serial, the serial concept is an old 20-year-old, 30-year-old Indian concept, right? It's serials every Monday, every Sunday, I'll watch it. What's happened is you've just taken and serialized the whole thing in shorter format on a
Mm.
device, excuse me, on a device and format that is native to me,
Mm.
right? So I don't think this is going anywhere. Models will change. Subscription models, obviously, even globally and in India, the ARPU on micro dramas is higher than regular video, regular OTT subscriptions, because you're able to watch more and it's micro charging, so that helps. In India, because of UPI, micro payments, the facility of micro payments, that's going to facilitate this. The cost of production is much lower, so your chances of making money and ROI is much higher. And this is actually where you spoke about, is the new thing going to be born in India? I think what's also going to happen is great opportunity for everyone to bring back all their archives and be reborn, because all that archive that is a sunk cost and sitting, um, you have every opportunity to now bring it to new audiences, but in the format that they want to watch it in. And
Mm.
again, so I think that's what, one of our use cases, for example, we're working with clients globally on exactly this, really taking people's archives and IPs and helping them create micro dramas from it. Because on micro dramas, at least from an original content creation perspective, I think people will find it very difficult to meet the content refresh cycle requirements because people are consuming so much so fast. So it'll have to be a good hybrid of new content that gets created, again using AI, generative AI, and which is getting really, really powerful, and also using AI platforms like Frama to take your archives and bring it back in a format that's viewer friendly at this point.
Great. So Bharat is watching in Bhojpuri, Tamil, Bangla, not English really. Very short percentage of the entire population, small percentage is watching in English. So does short video bring them in or leave them far behind?
I think definitely brings them in because I don't think regional language content has ever been a demand issue. It's
Hmm.
always been a supply issue, right?
Okay.
Because because the monetization was not great in regional content, you couldn't invest in high quality content and high quality resources or content production and therefore storytelling, right? What AI does is actually take that great quality English, Hindi, whatever mainstream content and now dub it slash subtitle it using AI into multiple languages, and it kind of completely equates the ground on which everyone's watching content, right? So
Right.
I really do believe that a lot of, it's actually going to bring in newer audiences. It's going to bring in different monetization models. A lot more money is going to go into local markets from a distribution advertising perspective, and therefore suddenly you'll see local content also becoming much more relevant. So I think, regionalism is just going to thrive because of the kind of content you're going to be able to make available.
Let me take few more questions online that we have. Uh, what aspects of storytelling can AI enhance, and where do humans still have a clear advantage?
Hmm. Um, I think AI can definitely enhance the production pipelines, the ability to, and again, it's all moving so fast. So, as we keep saying internally, this is the worst of the product you will always see
Mm.
because AI is only getting better.
Mm.
So, when we talk 6 months from now, there'll be newer models, newer, people around, things being done differently. So at any point in time, right, even now you see some of the Gen videos that are getting created, right? I think that will get enhanced. I think a lot of dubbing, a lot of voice production, etc., will definitely get enhanced. I still believe at some level, actual story scripting and writing will still need a human aspect to it, like the actual emotional, empathy-driven storytelling. I think that will still remain a human domain, at least for the near future. I hope so.
And there's another question on tech. What are the core technologies power Framo? And why do you choose your current AI stack?
Without getting into too many details, some of it is proprietary. So we use some, there are a few different models that Framer works on. So you would have a very robust vision model that obviously allows us to reformat in different resolutions. So taking the video from, and I would like to believe we are actually one of the most advanced 9 by 16 engines out there, or 4 by 5 engines. Um, uh, and so we use a very robust computer vision model, which is our own fine-tuned. We've taken an open source model and fine-tuned that. We on For the inferencing part, excuse me, we work with a bunch of some of the large LLMs that are out there, multimodal and not multimodal. And we work with a few folks from a text to speech, from a speech to text, sorry, model as well. Some of the other models like the thumbnail manager, the thumbnail operation, the metadata, a lot of that is generated with our own trained models. And the reason on the tech stack actually is we have a pretty fluid tech stack where we are not tied to one model as such. And what we built first was we actually built the internal waterfall of the models. If anyone's done digital advertising, it's always been about the waterfall, right? You go to the first
Mm.
call, it doesn't work, and you kind of make the second call. And I think that's the internal intelligence and IP that we have, which is we built this really robust engine on the LLM waterfall, if you may call it that, which really makes sure that whatever's happening at the at the LLM or the intelligence level, the best answer or the best result always gets showcased to the user. And whatever result we get is always obviously enhanced by our own intelligence layer that we have, which is the years of, what should it be? What should a key moment be? What should a summary have? What should a headline capture? All that trainings, a lot of that hard work and training has gone into it.
There's another question on AI. With foundation models evolving rapidly, how do you ensure a product remains differentiated?
GTM workflows. We always say that. Tech as a moat, and Kavali's going to kill me, but I also know he's smart enough to agree with me that tech as a moat is actually now no longer relevant. So anybody saying technologies, because really, if you count, there are 6 or 7 companies in the world making foundational models, right? So, and it's not easy doing that. So I don't think tech or foundational models will be the problem. How fast do you innovate? How fast do you go to market? How fast are you really launching and shipping products? And definitely the other thing is, and because we're enterprise, I can speak of it from an enterprise perspective. How quickly are you able to build workflows that work for your customers? It is all about the orchestration and the workflow. And that's why domain expertise becomes important, because can you preempt what the next requirement or the next use case is going to be able to build and ship that on your platform? That's what's going to differentiate products and platforms.
Right. So all big news networks are now basically living inside YouTube and Instagram. You're helping them feed the platform that could one day probably replace them. Are they renting their own audience back?
Hmm. HUL has been selling their products to customers through shelves on Kirana
Interesting.
stores, right, for years. But it's the brand, right?
Yeah.
It's not the store, correct? So these are distribution platforms, and we've got to be very careful of that. Um, you know, let's treat them as distribution platforms. They're very good distribution platforms, and that's
Mm.
why even when we were at NDTV or and working this out, you can never ever say that I'm going to run. You made that point about renting audiences. I think I view it the other way. You can never run your business based on what platforms are doing. You've got to build your own brand. You've got to build your own traffic. You've got to give people the reason to come back to your own brand to consume your content, right? And you said YouTube Shorts. Very interesting. What is Shorts? Shorts is just a brand. Ultimately, it is vertical short form video, right?
Mm.
YouTube calls it Shorts. Instagram calls it Reels. Facebook calls it Reels, right? But ultimately, the fact that people are consuming vertical short form video more, probably in a feed format, is the norm.
Mm.
What stops every publisher from having that format on their own site, ccnn.com, right? They've introduced an entire short vertical video carousel on the homepage, and all their video on cnn.com now is vertical short form, and you scroll it on a feed format. So I think publishers and content owners need to adapt to what people are viewing. And if they are viewing large amounts of content, the audiences where, is on YouTube or wherever, you have to be there to bring the audience back to your site or kind of be discovered, right? It's very interesting because, EPG Shorts is the new EPG, right? There
Mm.
is no EPG concept anymore. No one's going through a program guide to find out what's launched or what's not. Everyone
Yeah.
is discovering new content on social media through short vertical video. So
Correct.
how can you not be there and not kind of be present there? Yeah.
So let's talk about human now. We spoke a lot about AI. So AI can already cut caption and even clip a news story. Which job goes first, and which one suddenly becomes very expensive because a machine or AI simply cannot do it?
Sorry, I missed that. Can you say it again, please?
I'm saying, since AI can already cut, caption, and clip a news story, which journalism job goes first, and which one suddenly becomes more expensive because machines simply cannot, do the same thing what humans could.
I think comes back to my earlier point, and I don't know about goes first because everyone needs to upskill, and I'm sure everyone will figure out what they need to do. But I think the whole assembly process, right, that would definitely need to either upskill or adopt AI in their workflows to make them more efficient. I think that's where it's going to be the whole repurposing, editing, packaging, that line. And I think what's going to become more valuable is definitely the art of finding the stories, putting them together, investigating the facts, bringing a story to life. I think those are the skills that are going to become more and more prevalent because once you've put that story to put it in three different languages and have it edited in five different resolutions with subtitles in four designs is going to be all automated.
Interesting. So everybody's feed is filling with AI slop, and nobody trusts what they see anymore. And in this scenario, does an old newsroom brand quietly becomes more valuable or less?
Definitely more. Credibility at scale is irreplaceable. And I think that's what a large media brand or a large trusted source of content can bring. Um, Look at our own habits, right? And the recent war in the Middle East, great example. Half your content is actually dated footage and content being brought back. And you
Mm,
don't
mm,
know whether it happened today, whether it happened
correct.
yesterday, where, is it of this war? I saw some footage that was, then somebody, kind of dissed that content saying, oh, but this is from the old war. So think about it. I I don't know about you, Vikram, but now on my feed, I first look at the masthead. I
Mm,
assure you, and I also assure you that there's no guarantee, but at least your chances of getting more, authentic content is higher because I
mm,
want to know who I'm reading that content from to have a better chance of believing it for
right.
sure, right? And I think that is where um, um, legacy, trusted content owners and publishers will definitely become more valuable if they are able to adapt to the viewing habits of the audiences. I think that's the clear. So if the same legacy brand again puts up a 30-minute show for people to watch, they've lost the audience. So how do they kind of, bring in and translate that credibility into short vertical video or a summary or a chunk of video which really is capturing one small point, etc. I think that's where, people will need to adapt, but it definitely makes trusted media houses more credible for sure.
How does AI make us more creative or just more similar? See, if you see open LinkedIn today, you will feel like all LinkedIn posts are written by just one person. So will the video also go the same way?
Hmm. And I think that's why different it all comes down to, are you all saying the same story, right?
Hmm.
And that is why differentiated content using AI tools or platforms will become like, again, AI will help you make that content faster, better. But the idea of that content, of what should I create? What should I be putting out there? So, of all the seven packages that Frammer's given you, which are the best moments per AI, ultimately the human is taking the call to say, I believe this is the most relevant one, or the one that is really important to be out there, right? I think those are the things that will really differentiate content from slop, or just making everything look similar. I think some content will always be what it is. Like, if you say news, if it's the prime minister's speech, it is the prime minister's speech. You can't do much with it, right? But I think other opportunities of digital first storytelling, really working with the platforms on which you're being watched, being native to those platforms, using their tools, etc., I think will become more and more important to drive differentiation.
Great. Assume we are again doing this in 2021, 2031. Same room, same chairs. Name one media business that is dead. Then name one that is huge and uh, and does not even exist today.
No one's dead. I think it's
No
large
one's
enough.
dead.
I think
Okay.
everything is large enough, right?
Mm.
At least in 5 years. And it was funny because the topic of this session was reimagining, um, you know, the media in the AI era. I think it's more than reimagining, it's second guessing,
Mm.
because I don't think anyone has all the right answers, right?
Mm.
I could be saying something today and could be completely proven wrong in 5 years from now. But I don't
Correct.
think anyone's dead. I think what will be under danger, already is under stress, is um, reach-driven, non-differentiated content with no data, just blind advertising is under stress, because more and more people are kind of driving towards, can I get, what's the first party data that I have, what is the targeting that I can do. So I think just not having that will probably be stressful. um, the other thing, I think what will really get very interesting is content to commerce, I think will grow. It is started, people are doing it, but it's limited to very basic affiliate marketing kind of models. But I think it will really evolve, especially in video. You will see a lot and lot more video really driving commerce. And we know with YouTube Short, for example, that's a great example. You're going to have a lot of scripted short micro drama series. I can see that completely happening, where a brand just creates the entire series, and because it's not that expensive, you start placing shoppable stuff all around it. So I think models like that. And the other big thing I believe will be, people will really start understanding the value of their archives. You will start monetizing your archives much more and more effectively. So in the next 5 years, we probably see those three play out.
Interesting. Assume a 22-year-old journalist writes to you tomorrow and she asks you one skill. What would you tell her to learn this year?
Something other than journalism. I'm just kidding. No, no. I think the ability to question and interrogate, whether it's a model or whether it's a source. I mean, I think that's the interesting part of journalism, right? Uh, Nothing's gone away. Even if you're using AI or an LLM, the ability to interrogate or question the output and keep bettering it, making sure you're using your own journalism skills to get to the right format answer, whether it's a physical source, in-person story, or an LLM output, I think is a skill that every journalist, aspiring journalist should have. The other thing I think uh, is important is every journalist now needs to be a multimedia producer. That is critical. So you can't say I am just a story writer or I'm just a videographer or I'm just an editor. I think everything's getting consolidated, and a journalist will, on a desk or on the field, needs to be a multimedia producer and think like a multimedia producer when creating stories and content. So those are the two skills I would definitely want people to know.
If you're not building from, what would you be building in Indian media right now? What's your second business idea?
Hmm, that's a tough one. I would probably probably something in the attribution space. Um, I think one of the big challenges is going to be between, um, you know, ATL or large format advertising, while performance is what's going on. Then you got the whole now creator economy, which is becoming such a massive, line item as far as marketing and marketing plans are concerned. You just heard HUL move 50% of their entire global budget to creators, right? So, but how do you kind of tie it all into an attributable ecosystem to say this is my mix of creator, of ATL, and digital, but it all kind of ties up together, some kind of an AI tech framework to kind of really help attribution.
Great. For all, again, if you're watching and you have a question, put it in the comments right now. CI is pulling few up, and I will ask them straight. Just few rapid fire for you. One line each. You don't need to explain anything. Just give us that answer. Long form or short form, 10 years down the line.
Short form.
One Indian publisher you would buy stock in it today.
I don't know about Indian publisher, but a publisher that I would buy stock today would be Google.
Google.
Let someone question the fact they're not a media company right now.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, why don't you tell us why Google?
I mean, think about it. They are they've got the audience, they've got the advertising, they are investing in studios, so they're now creating content. They are able to hold audiences and engagement. The click through from Google to the source content is down to almost 8 or 10% now, which is like we should be ringing alarm bells globally, right? Now, if I can hold audience and bring people in and hold audience and monetize that audience, how am I different from a media company?
Correct. Great. Most overrated AI tool in the media today.
Mm. Mm, that's a tough one. I'm going to pass that one. Yeah.
Okay. The founder you learn the most from.
The founder I learned the most from,
Yeah.
um, you know, at the cost of sounding, you know, pluggish, but I would like to say my two co-founders. Um,
Interesting.
you know, yeah, because we are so different people, but we're trying to solve the same problem. We approach the thing, all of us approach things differently. We've each, knock on wood, worked together for 20 years, yet we have our own differences. It's not that we don't have our differences, but the fact that we are able to do this and trust each other, um, not just from a work perspective, but from a life perspective, we're able to trust each other. I think that's what I learned. And yeah, I think I would learn from the two of them.
Great. And Framer in 2030, acquired or acquiring?
Both.
Both. Great. Let me come back again to the lot of questions there. I'll just pick a few and ask you. How important is proprietary data in creating defensible AI products in the media space?
Overrated.
What role should governments and industry bodies play in setting standards for AI generated media?
Sorry, say that again. What?
What role should government and industry bodies play in setting standards for AI generated media?
Government should not regulate, but have guidelines. I think that's the thing. And industry can play a large role in research, in really setting up more training and institute centers to equip the new workforce which is coming in from an AI perspective. I think that can be a role that is really played well by industry.
Right. What are the biggest execution risks that AI media startups tend to underestimate?
Biggest I actually think that's a good question because one of the first things that when we first started out, it was about, oh, let us build our own models. And when I say own models, it was like, let me take an open source model and spend hours training it and doing something, etc. Very soon we learned that you can never outrun the pace at which the innovations happening in big tech with the models out there. So you would rather, build your other modes and other flows, etc., to utilize them. Like I said, we built a really robust waterfall LLM waterfall model to kind of help that. So those are the kind of things I think everyone needs to kind of look out for when building in AI.
Great. What are the new categories of business do you think will emerge because of AI native media experiences?
Mm. I think micro dramas and short form, we're just scratching the surface. I think a
Hmm.
lot more will get done. New monetization models will come in, I think. I actually do believe that micro drama advertising, right now, it's all mostly subscription based. Advertising is really not caught onto the microdrama bandwagon like it would. And once that happens, my sense is that microdrama advertising will actually ape the gaming ecosystem in a big way. And I think that will be interesting. Like you will have a lot of bonus ads, reward ads. That kind of advertising is what will really jumpstart, and those are the kind of innovations we'll see.
And I'm so sorry, I can't take all of these questions. There's so many of them, Arijit, for you. What CII would do is we'll collate all these questions, get Arijit to answer those and send it back to you. But thank you, Arijit. Thank you so much. It was worth everyone's time, I think. And everyone
Had a great
watching,
time.
yeah, everyone watching, the takeaway tonight is not that AI made content cheaper. It is that most of you are already sitting on more content than you are using. Go open that folder tomorrow morning and make some use of it. So legacy content or archival content that Ajit was speaking about, bring that to use. Thank you, CII Western Region, for building this platform. Sessions like this happen because somebody decided founders deserve a real conversation and not, fancy panel discussions. If you want to be part of the next one, CI Startups Vertical is where to look every Thursday, 5 p.m. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Arijit. Any
Thank you.
last
It was
comment you'd like to
great.
make?
No, it was great. This is very, very exciting. And hopefully, everyone had a good time listening in. I had a great time being here. So, thanks, CII. Thanks, Vikram, Ravi, Ninad, everyone. And I'm glad to be, I was very happy to be a part of this. Thank you.
Great. See you all next Thursday, 5 p.m. Bye bye. See you.